Have you ever come across a book that you didn't know much about? It was a recommendation, or you saw it online and you wanted to pick it up just because of the quick summary you read about it? Well, that's what happened to me recently with this book that I just finished called Shades of Grey by Jasper Ffforde. I found it incredibly interesting, and it was not what I was expecting from a dystopian novel. Thanks for tuning in. This is my channel, Sci-Fi Rose. My name is Rosendo, and today I'm going to discuss this book briefly, just to give you an idea whether or not you'd be interested in reading something like this. As far as what you would expect from a dystopian novel, this novel did not run along those lines. I did go into it blindly, and I didn't know really what to expect, except that it was dystopian, and so you know what that typically entails. Jasper Ffforde did his own little twist on it, and I'm glad that I actually read this book. Going in, if I knew what it was about, I would not have picked it up. With that said, I wanted to discuss to you a little bit about why I enjoyed it, what was so different about it, and see if that's something that you as a reader would want to pick up. Now, you will enjoy this story if you are okay with elements of comedy. You sly dog. Oh, I do need to make a more valiant effort to make it across the pond sooner rather than later. Suspense or unexpected surprises just based off of the fact that it's not your typical dystopian novel.
Oh, wow. Wasn't expecting that.
Some romance slash sexual content. Oh, it is getting hot in here. And your dark themes in a dystopian novel. Wow, that's really dark. As I mentioned, it's not something that I typically would have picked up if I knew that it was a comedy. That's not what I really am into. I like science fiction, and then, of course, if you've listened to other reviews of mine, I also enjoy true crime. But in regards to science fiction, I don't equate comedy to this genre, and there was a ton of it. It's English humor, and I loved it. It was fantastic. I was laughing uncontrollably many times. I caught myself laughing uncontrollably. So that was great for me. It's just something that I'm not used to, and it was a nice little surprise. Also, there are elements of fantasy. All in all, this was a very enjoyable read. This story is set hundreds of years into the future. The protagonist is Eddie Russell, and in this story, the past is forgotten. All people are concerned with is social order based on what colors people can see. Eddie Russell then meets some characters that make him question what is actually going on, and that's kind of where the fun begins. Given that it's different from your typical content that it gives you, I wanted to kind of look at a couple of classic dystopian novels just in comparison on the spectrum of where they are. First, 1984, which is basically my favorite dystopian novel, and then A Brave New World. I would say that they're fairly on the opposite side given the type of content. This is a much darker view of dystopia, where this is a little bit more playful. I would say that these are set up in this order, where you have this on the far side given all the comedy, and this side given all that sadness and despair. So now you know where that kind of sits, and if you would be interested in reading something like that, that's a little bit more playful with your ideas of what is involved in a dystopia. And that's really all I have on Jasper Fforde's Shades of Grey. Thoroughly enjoyed the book, and I do highly recommend it to any sci-fi dystopian reader. Now that I'm done with that one, I do have a couple other books that I've kind of been reading, but they're not science fiction, so I won't discuss them here. But I picked up this book a while back ago, and I'm finally going to read it, I believe, The Phlebotomist. I think this will be my next science fiction read, and actually, I believe it is also dystopian. So that'll be kind of cool to continue with that type of specific science fiction genre. Although I do want to eventually get into some type of space opera. I'm kind of missing that right now and definitely want to go back to that. So either I will continue with this one, or I have a couple other books in the mail and I might just start reading those instead. So kind of play that by ear once I get those other books in the mail and see kind of which one catches my eyes when I start reading them a bit. That's all I have for now. If you like the content and it's useful to you, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you have any questions about what I discussed, about the book itself, please comment, and I'd be happy to try to answer those questions. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you on the next review.